Springfield Board of Mayor and Aldermen regular December meeting is called to order. Please stand and we'll say the pledge. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I want to thank everybody for being here tonight, and I want to wish you a very Merry Christmas and a safe and happy holidays. Our first item on the agenda is our presentation of our Employee Service Awards. I just want to say to the employees before we start giving out service awards, thank you so much for what you do each and every day for the city of Springfield. I know that you are all involved in different activities throughout our city and our county, and we appreciate what you do, not just on the clock, but after hours also for our community to make it a better community. I will now ask Mr. Ryan Martin, our Assistant City Manager, and all of our aldermen to come down and we'll give service awards. And me. And Ms. Holt. Sorry. All of us up here. I really wasn't leaving you out. I wasn't leaving her out. We're going to start with our 5-year awards first tonight. Our first award tonight is to Rita Luna at the Animal Department, Animal Control. Come forward, ma'am. Thank you so much for what you do each and every day. I know you love the animals. It's not a big deal today. I see you out all over Springfield doing what you do each and every day. Steve Tucker, wastewater. He's not here. We still appreciate it. Tell him that tomorrow when you see him in the office. Wastewater, Mr. Eddie Cantrell. Now this is not 5 years, this is 10 years of service. Thank you for all your hard efforts. Our next 10-year award is in our electric department, Mr. Timothy Winford. Wastewater, 10 years, Mr. Christopher McKenzie. No K. Another 10-year award for the fire department, Mr. Britt Taylor. Tell him tomorrow in the fire department we appreciate him. Charles Consiglio, the police department. He's probably out on duty. Probably has an emergency and couldn't be here, so please give him some love tomorrow for his 10 years of service. 20 years. Miss Elizabeth Leonard at the police department. Thank you. We so appreciate you. And you just, I saw something on Facebook that you had just gotten some award or finished some class. I did. Congratulations. 20 years, police department, Mr. Chuck Vogel. He's one of our detectives, so I'm sure he's undercover right now. So. Donald Stites with our fire department. Donald? He's out on the job too, right? Neil Fisher with the fire department. "25 years, you get an envelope and a plaque." Electric department, Mr. Nicky Pinson. Thank you for what all you do for us.
Thank you.
Here's the envelope. I bet there's a special in there for you.
Probably is. I can't hear Robert put nothing else in there.
Okay.
Oh, yeah?
Wastewater, Ms. Alice Hilliard.
So this is what we.
Miss Alice, you do so much over there, and I appreciate what you do each and every day. You keep all of them straight. Since your cohort has retired, I know that she passed that on to you. Here you go. Our finance department, Miss Tracy Tate. Tracy, thank you. Here's your envelope. Thank you for what you do. We're moving on to the 30-year awards. Mr. David Martin at the police department. This gentleman is an ambassador for the city of Springfield. He talks to all the people coming into town. I know about the city, so we appreciate what you do. Thank you so much. Our next 30-year award is Miss Kathy Jones. Miss Kathy says, what? Thank you for your 30 years of service.
Yeah, I appreciate it.
We so appreciate it.
All right, thank you. I'm going to envelope too.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Yes, you can. Thank you. Thank you very much. Thanks. Water. Thank you. Gas.
I promised I was not going to mess this one up. Our 30-year award at the gas department is Mr. Sam Andivazzo. I promised that I was going to get two people's names right in this room, and I hope I did that. Appreciate it. Thank you. "40 years of service. We have one tonight. Public Works, Mr. Ricky Harris. Congratulations, Ricky. You're so appreciated. This one's a little heavier than the other. And it should be.
This is well done. Just about.
Go back in there. 1.3. We want to recognize the historic Springfield event coordinators for all their contributions to the city of Springfield. We don't stop sometimes to thank the different groups in Springfield for what's going on and their contributions that go unheard of, nobody talks about, but they're silently out there raising money and doing things for the city of Springfield. So tonight, I would like to ask the historic Springfield event coordinator to come and meet me at the podium. Any of you that would like to come, please. This group of ladies have been instrumental in raising and changing the face of the historic downtown area. And I am so proud of each and every one of you for what your contribution has been. And tonight, I want to give a proclamation from the city of Springfield. Whereas the Historic Springfield Events Coordinators, Inc. was formed to create awareness for the community of the downtown Springfield Historic Square. Whereas the Historic Springfield Event Coordinators have hosted numerous community events that benefit and aid the beautification of our downtown square and parks. Whereas the Historic Springfield Events Coordinators and a volunteer organization comprised of downtown merchants, businesses, and residents. And whereas the city of Springfield is grateful to the Historic Springfield Events Coordinators for their numerous donations, including the installation of the decoration banners, the LED lights downtown, bike racks, the future addition of the jail alley decorative gate. Donations of more than $13,000 were provided for the Central Dog Park at Gardner Street. Now, therefore, the Board of Mayor and Aldermen express appreciation and gratitude by extending this proclamation for this historic Springfield Events Coordinators for their commitment to bringing business, enthusiasm, family-friendly activities to the historic square. In witness whereof, I do hereby set my hand and cause the seal of the city of Springfield to be affixed the 18th day of December 2018. Congratulations and thank you, group. Ms. Mary Hester, I understand, is the president or lead of this group. All of these ladies are so important to the downtown efforts that have been going on for the past several years. Thank you so much. One point four, approve the minutes of the regular meeting of the Board of Mayor and Aldermen held on November 20th, 2018. Do I hear a motion?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Are there any corrections? All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed say no. 1.5 is our public hearing. Ordinance 1. Our first public hearing is Ordinance 18-27, an ordinance amending the fiscal year 2019's annual budget for the City of Springfield by amending certain general fund operating budgets. If there's anyone that would like to speak, please come to the mic, state your name, and you have 2 minutes. Would anyone like to speak? The public hearing is closed. Moving on to 2.1. Discuss and possible take action on Ordinance 18-26 on a third and final reading. An ordinance rezoning one lot, a total of .56 acres, located at the corner of Tom Alston Highway and South Main Street in the 9th Civil District from R40 Low Density Residential District to CS Commercial Services District. Do I hear a motion to discuss?
So moved.
Thank you. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Any discussion, gentlemen? Questions? Call the roll, please.
Harris,
Yes.
Schneider,
Aye.
Hubbard.
Aye.
Trotter.
Aye.
Sneed.
Aye.
Gregg. Head.
Yes.
Passed 7-0.
Thank you. 2.2, discuss and possible take action on ordinance 18-27 on a second reading. On ordinance amending the fiscal year 2019's annual budget for the city of Springfield by amending certain general fund operating budgets. Do I hear a motion?
So move.
Thank you.
Second.
Thank you. Any discussion? No discussion, call the roll, please.
Schneider.
Aye.
Harris.
Yes.
Gregg.
Aye.
Sneed.
Aye.
Trotter.
Aye.
Head.
Yes.
Hubbard.
Aye.
Passed 7-0.
Thank you. 2.3, discuss if possible take action on Resolution 18-37, a resolution declaring certain properties surplus and authorizing the disposal of such properties. Do I hear a motion?
So move.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
Any questions? Call the roll, please.
Hubbard.
Aye.
Sneed.
Aye.
Harris.
Yes.
Trotter.
Aye.
Schneider.
Aye.
Head.
Yes.
Gregg.
Aye.
Passed 7-0.
Okay. 2.4, I understand, needs to be withdrawn.
Yes.
Okay.
Some question on that. Why we withdrawing that?
Okay, the letter was not received.
Okay. Do we have a current letter of credit?
I'm not sure whether or not, since it's been withdrawn, whether we can discuss this at this time.
Okay.
We'll be happy.
It's on my final agenda.
I mean, on whose authority do we not discuss it, or that we remove it?
Well,
Is that what you need?
there's nothing to approve. The letter
It
of
didn't come
credit
in.
is not there, so there's nothing to approve. So the discussion on this cannot be had because it's been removed. But we'll be happy to answer questions tomorrow if you have some.
Okay. I have a lot of questions.
Okay.
Okay. 2.5, discuss and possible take action. I'm on the wrong agenda. Okay. Thank you for keeping me straight. 3.1, discuss and possible take action on the election of the vice mayor.
Mr. Mayor.
Do I have a motion to discuss?
So move.
Second.
Thank you.
Mr. Mayor.
Yes.
I move to nominate Alderman Harris
Alderman Harris.
as vice mayor on the premises that he's young and upcoming, and we need to
Okay.
put him in a good position.
Alderman Harris has been nominated. Any other discussion? Okay. We vote. No more discussion?
Move that the nomination be closed on that one candidate.
Okay. Call the roll, please.
Trotter.
Aye.
Hubbard.
Aye.
Head.
Yes.
Schneider.
Aye.
Sneed.
No.
Gregg.
Aye.
Harris. Passed 5-1, one abstain.
Thank you. Congratulations, Mr. Harris. 3.2, discuss and possible take action on the adjustment of the retail electric rates of the Springfield Electric Department due to a wholesale fuel cost adjustment by TVA. Do I hear a motion to discuss?
So move.
Second?
Thank you. Mr. Gardner.
Mayor, it's just a 0.1% increase, is pretty negligible.
Thank you. Any questions to Mr. Gardner? Call the roll, please.
Sneed.
Who?
Sneed.
Aye.
Uh,
Harris.
Yes.
Hubbard.
Aye.
Gregg.
Aye.
Head.
Yes.
Schneider.
Aye.
Trotter.
Aye.
Passed 7-0.
3.3, discuss and possible take action on the adjustment of the monthly gas rates of the Springfield Gas Department. Mr. Riddle.
The purchase gas adjustment's up 3.37%.
You're both up.
That time of year.
I didn't get a motion to. Motion to discuss?
So move.
Thank you. Second?
Second.
Any questions? Call the roll, please.
Harris.
Yes.
Schneider.
Aye.
Hubbard.
Aye.
Trotter.
Aye.
Sneed.
Aye.
Gregg.
Aye.
Head.
Yes.
Passed 7-0.
3.4, Discuss and possible take action to approve the offers on the surplus properties acquired via the delinquent tax sales. Do I hear a motion?
So move.
Second.
Thank you. Questions? I know we have questions. Mr. Sneed, you're first.
There's no properties listed that we could review?
There's one located at 1111 Hill Street.
Did y'all get it on y'all's agenda? Not on mine. Okay.
It's definitely the same.
We failed to put it on the agenda. It's on the agenda, but the said property.
It's
Right there?
It's right, yeah.
Yes.
It shows all the back taxes that were owed. The offer for everyone else, it's $910, and it is 1111 Hill Street.
You said the price was $910?
$910, and the offeror is Stepping Stones Linda Ring.
Okay. Other questions, gentlemen? No questions? Call the roll, please.
Schneider.
Aye.
Harris.
Yes.
Gregg. Sneed.
No.
Trotter.
Aye.
Head.
Yes.
Hubbard.
Aye.
Passed 6-1.
Thank you. 3.5, discuss and possible take actions on expiring board appointments for the Adult Entertainment Board, the Housing Authority Board, and the Construction Board of Adjustments and Appeals. Do I hear a motion?
So move.
Second.
Okay. Any questions on the ones listed? I called mine. Everybody else? Everybody good with their appointments?
I asked the clerk to read the names, please, of the appointments.
For the Adult Entertainment Board, it's Amy Jernigan representing Ward 2. The Housing Authority Board, Robert Farmer, he's at large. Construction Board of Adjustment and Appeals, it's Alfred Boyder, Ward 3. Travis Piggott, Ward 5. Keith Woodall at large, and Donald Burkeen at large.
Okay. Other questions? Mr. Harris, that was it? Okay. Anybody else? Call the roll, please.
Hubbard.
Aye.
Sneed.
Aye.
Harris.
Yes.
Trotter.
Aye.
Schneider.
Aye.
Head.
Yes.
Gregg. Passed 7-0.
Thank you. 3.6, discuss and possible take action to approve the renewal of certificate compliance for retail food store wine permits for the following. A, Kroger's Limited Partnership, doing business as Kroger's number 575. B, Aldi's store number 49. C, Walmart Store East, Walmart store number 304. D, S&C Foods, Inc., doing business as H.G. Hills Food Store number 54. Do I hear a motion to discuss?
So move.
Second.
And you will remember we have to do this every year, correct?
I think that's correct.
2 years. Every 2 years?
2 years.
Every 2 years? Every 2 years.
Ms. Crockett, is it 2 years?
It's two.
Thank you, Ms. Crockett. Every 2 years. Questions, gentlemen?
Comment, a
Yes, sir.
clarification. The law to allow people to buy it on Sundays go into effect when?
I believe January 1st.
January 1st. And I think that should have passed
Okay.
years ago. Thank you.
You're welcome. Any questions before we call the roll? Call the roll, please.
Head.
Yes.
Harris.
Yes.
Trotter.
Aye.
Schneider.
Aye.
Gregg. Hubbard.
Aye.
Sneed.
Aye.
Passed 7-0.
3.7, our city manager, Ms. Gina Holt, would like to speak before we talk about this.
Okay, at this time, the franchise owner does not meet the eligibility requirements, and so this board is not able to take any action. So there's really nothing that needs to be done tonight.
Okay. Moving on to 3.8, discuss and possible take action on the following Gresham Smith change orders. A, task order 15. Change order 1 in the amount of $40,819, an additional service, phase 5, bidding and construction. Number 2, Change order number 2 in the amount of $113,299, rate changes and additional services, Phase 5, bidding and construction. B, task order 16. 1, change order 1 in the amount of $23,515.23. Additional services, CC and SFC, wastewater storage tanks, bidding, and CA services. 2, change order 2 in the amount of $268,694. Rate changes and additional services, CC and SFC, wastewater storage tanks, bidding, and CA services. C, task order 19, change order 1 in the amount of $16,190. CDBG, project identification. Do I hear a motion to discuss?
So moved. Second.
Thank you. Questions? It was all in your packet on your iPad. No questions? Call the roll, please.
Sneed. Harris.
Yes.
Hubbard.
Aye.
Gregg. Head.
Yes.
Schneider.
Aye.
Trotter.
Aye.
Passed 7-0.
Thank you. 3.9, discuss and possible take action on the request from Alderman Sneed to discuss the Brantsford Community Center building project. Do I hear a motion to discuss?
So moved.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
Okay. Mr. Sneed?
Yes, we've had some updates about some things. Is there anything new from the Brantsford Community Center meetings that have resulted in any information that we need to be aware of? Any donations accepted or plans made, or is we kind of still at status quo?
I understand that the group is raising money every day.
Well, that's the question, how much? Where are have there been any solid donations?
I know they're
Or are
on
we still-
Facebook raising money. Gina, Ms. Holt, do you have a number?
I do not have a number because that is something that they are doing on their own. And I think you can see from the room that there's a lot of support. I haven't heard about any type of the donations at this point. That is something that, of course, this is not a public hearing, so people are not allowed to speak. But if you had a question that you wanted to ask someone that would be able to answer, I think that would be okay.
Mr. Sneed, I'm not real sure who is in charge of the fundraiser. Is it Miss Lisa Arnold? Is it Mr. Neil Peterson? Are you in charge of the fundraiser, Mr. Peterson? You come to the mic.
Neil Peterson, I'm on the Brantsford Board and the City Brantsford Committee. The Brantsford Board has undertaken fundraising. I'm not in charge. We are just in the process of putting together a capital campaign committee. Without a preliminary design, which we have just received recently,
Correct.
our hands were tied behind our back. Nobody wants to commit money to something they can't see, and we're only just now beginning to get something that we can see. So that, and I'll be frank with you, changing the $2.5 million grant to a matching grant additionally tied another hand behind our back, because people who give grants want to know that the community is supporting the project, and a matching grant does not show the level of support that we would like to have at this point. So we have an uphill climb. I would note that at this point in the library's fundraising, they had $1 million something in the bank from a bequest. That put them one leg up, and it still took them, what, 2 years or more to raise the funds privately to finish the library. So to come back at us after 5 months and ask how much money we've got is a little bit disingenuous.
Well, we did just get the plans in November. I can't remember the date of the meeting that we had at the library that showed the plans. If somebody, I can't remember the date.
I don't remember the date either.
It was the second Tuesday?
It's in the
Second Tuesday.
second week or third week, probably the second week of the month.
Mayor,
Second Tuesday.
No,
Yes, sir.
I'm up
I'd like
next.
to comment to Mr. Peterson's remark. I think that was
You're
I'm
next.
next.
You're next.
uncalled for.
Hold on.
I mean,
It's my
this
time.
board
Hold on,
would
gentlemen.
like to
One at a
know the
time.
would like to kind of know the status, and it's sad that you feel like it's something underhanded, that we would be interested in asking questions.
I'm sorry, I'm not the person because I can't hear. I'm definitely deaf as a rock.
Okay.
And
Thank
I
you.
regret that. I've had to step away from several important things that were on my agenda because I can't participate. I would say that Electrolux committed to a commercial kitchen for the project and tentative cash grant of $75,000. So that was one of the very first calls we made.
Okay, I'm going to go to Mr. Hubbard next, and I will come back to you.
I
Mr. Hubbard.
have two things that I would like to say. First of all, there's nothing disingenuous about the board's position toward the Bransford project. Number two, then I have another one. I feel that I cannot be supportive on the Bransford board, so I resigned from it, okay?
Okay.
Number three, I do support the board's position on supporting the Bransford project. I do feel that the Bransford project should be given the opportunity to raise money. I do firmly believe in the $2.5 million that we have committed, and I stand on the terms of the commitment, okay?
Okay.
There is no way that I want to see this project fall, but I cannot be a help to being on the board. But I support you 110% for raising the money.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Hubbard. We'll move on to Mr. Sneed, and then I will voice my personal opinion.
There seems to be some animosity from certain groups to certain members on this board, and I'm not quite sure why or what they're hearing, but it's unfounded. And from the meeting that we had at the library the other couple of weeks ago, the architects informed me, explained that the greenway, the tennis courts, and the backside, due to excavating and get the green side of it done, would be about $500,000. I talked to Parks Department about that, and they had a different figure, and it was substantially different. I was prepared to say, let's get the green side of it, Parkway and some basketball courts. That's something maybe we could do in next year's budget and get that going, because that doesn't require a lot of construction material and labor, which are all at a premium price right now. To build the building, you are competing against all other construction projects and construction labor, and it's just not a good time, if it were to be within the next year's foreseeable year, to do a project because of the high cost of per square foot construction cost. It's just,
So
with the disparity of what the architects said, they estimated the green side of it in the back to be versus what Parks Department said it would be. I'm not prepared to make a suggestion that we at least move forward and do that part of it.
So are you making a motion, or you're not making a motion?
No, because the price of doing the green side and the park and the basketball court, get that side of it done, there's too much. It's almost as much as what we've committed to the entire project.
Okay. And we have committed to this project. We had a vote on this project, and it passed. If there's nothing on the floor, any more discussion?
I would like to make a comment, but I don't want to take all night discussing it. But we have been supportive from day one with the monies and pushing the project. So don't come and say that the term disingenuous means that you have no heart for it. And see, that's not the truth. I've had a heart for that project ever since the school board gave it, okay? And I take offense to that.
Okay.
And I would love to see I would love to see a building there. Yes, I made an offer from the beginning. No, I have to have made an offer from the beginning. Put a building there and add on every year. Because I definitely want to see something there. So don't paint the picture that we don't want it. And it's no we against them situation. See, I've heard a lot of really crazy comments. And the comment is, City Hall is not against the Bransford project.
Okay, we're gonna.
I would resign from this board if we took that position against the Bransford project, but we're not.
Mr. Trotter.
That's all I have to say.
Well, I hadn't heard that the citizens were against the board. I mean, where I know the board supports it. We passed it, you know, to do matching funds.
Yes, sir.
And if Alderman Sneed wants to put it in the budget, next year to go ahead and do the parks and the other part of it, we'll do that, along with the building.
Okay. Any other discussion before we move on? Mr. Sneed.
What Mr. Trotter just talked about, we're all in support of it, and Mr. Hubbard also said that he thought maybe some of the board thought that we weren't. I put it on the agenda a few months back to abolish the Brantford board, and there was a reason for it. I knew, one, it wouldn't pass, but two, it was a signal, a message to the Brantford board that some of the figures and the size of the project was unrealistic, and they were not listening to this board's not listening, and we were not in sync with that board on the size and scope. They came back with something like a 35,000 square foot multi-million, it's like $15 million project. It was too far apart what the board had been talking about at that time when I made a motion to dissolve it. Now it's getting back down to a more realistic project that, so I think it had an effect.
Okay.
But it wasn't that we weren't in support of the project.
Any more discussion before we close and move on?
I'm trying to get someone else to say something with closed mouths. We cannot afford, with running this city, to give $7 million. We can't. We got too many responsibilities. So I'm gonna put that out there. In order to keep this city function, we cannot afford to give you a check for $6 million. Because it takes money. We got too many projects on the board right now, so 2.5 is the best that we can do. And I'm waiting on somebody else to talk, but yet still the mouths are closed. People need to hear that. See, that's why we can't not give you no $6 million, because we got other things.
Okay. Mr. Trotter.
Sure, the city has other things. I think this is important, very important to the youth. Look,
Okay.
honestly speaking, each one of us up here got more years behind us than we have ahead of us. So what we're doing is for the people, the kids that are coming up. If we had to borrow $7 million and the city had to pay it back, oh, okay. These people pay taxes. They pay taxes. Why not build a youth center? Why not city build it? You pay taxes. They pay taxes. They don't want to just see. It's good to have sewage and get the water flowing and all that, but they want to see something else for their money.
Okay.
I think a youth center, if they had to borrow $7 million to build a youth center, okay, let's borrow it and pay it back somehow.
Okay.
Don't put out the wrong message.
I'm not putting out the message. I'm just saying what we can do.
Wrong message.
Other
You
discussion.
got to have a balance,
Gentlemen.
as you grow a city. So don't put out the wrong message.
Okay, there's no motion on the floor. We can move on, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, let's move on to 3.10. Discuss and possible take action on amending the city-owned real estate tax sale policy. Do I hear a motion?
So moved.
Do I hear a second?
I said second.
Second?
Yes.
Any questions? To Ms. Holt? You have a question? Mr. Hayes?
We're just gonna discuss it at this point.
The reason this is on here is last month, there were some questions and possible suggestions is maybe revising the policy. Do we look at a minimum bid or so we came up with And I hope you all have this in your iPad, the memo that Mr. Ryan Martin put together, where he took all the properties that were sold last month, and I'll let Mr. Martin address this, and he can explain, but in my opinion, the policy that we have in place now is working.
Just a second. I'm sorry, but we're going to have quiet in the room because we have one more item left on the agenda.
Okay, so anyway, all properties, as Mr. Ryan Martin has said, are not equal, and so therefore it'd be very difficult to have a minimum bid. But the policy, it seems to be working. We're moving these properties, we're receiving bids. Bids are advertised for 30 days. Each offer is advertised an additional 30 days. If no one expresses any interest after that, then we have to assume that people are just not interested in this particular property. So if a bid is rejected, just remember, we keep it and we keep maintaining it. So, Mr. Martin, if you want to go over the chart that you put together, which explains it, I think, very well, and it shows exactly how we came out on all these.
Sure. I think we were all, I was kind of surprised when I put the information together and we kind of compiled everything to look at the comparison, because I think the common theme we all believed was that these lots were going for too little. I think that's kind of what we thought. Now, we knew there was some diminished value there because of the marketability and the lack of the availability of title insurance. But when we put it together and kind of, if you look at the spreadsheet, kind of what we put together was comparing the offers. These are all the properties that you all approved to sell last month. And we compared it to the tax appraisal, the tax value of the property, as well as the back taxes and liens, including the county tax. And so we see all that broken out. If we look at, I think it would be kind of unrealistic to try to shoot for the back tax amount for the property with some of these, as far as getting that as a sales price or an offer price, because some of these properties have liens on them. And so the liens far outweigh and far exceed the value and maybe the market price of the property. But try to compare that with the tax appraisal of the property gives us a better idea of kind of where they are. And we actually did better than I would have imagined. If you look, there were only just a couple of properties that sold for less than 40%, and we of the tax appraisal, and we beat the tax appraisal on 7 of them. So we're bringing in more money than the market is demanding more money for these properties than the tax appraisal would suggest that they're worth. So I think the process, what we found is it's working. I think you can look at the property that you voted on tonight, the Hill Street property. It's kind of an unusable piece of property unless you have a specific purpose for it. It's a narrow piece of property. It's long and narrow, very little road frontage. And some of these properties that we're selling fit into that category. They may be 5,000 square feet. Well, we don't have an R5 zoning classification. We have an R7, so any 5,000 square foot property is a non-conforming lot, so you would have to meet those R7 setbacks. So it really boxes you into what you can do with the property and what you can build. So the Hill Street property tonight, we had 4 offers on that property. The first one was $500, and we advertised successive months as the policy says, and we wound up with a $910 offer that was the prevailing offer. That was out of 4 offers. So we're really just seeing the property, the market dictate, again, like I mentioned last month, all lots aren't created equally, and the market's dictating what the lots bring.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Martin. Questions for him on the subject? He explained it well. No questions? We're not voting. It's just a discussion.
Unless you want to amend it.
Okay.
There's no vote needed.
Okay.
No action unless you want to
There's
change.
a couple of things I'd like to see.
Okay.
Number one, I think it needs to be clear in our policy that this board can reject any offer. That may be, you may can read between the lines and get that, but it needs to be clearly stated. Also,
May I address that? And Ms. Barty can correct me. I think one of the problems with just outright rejecting is once we state a policy, people go in with the intent that we are going to abide by that policy. We're advertising it, and we're advertising and advertising. And I think you would have to have a very valid reason to reject it if they follow all the rules with the policy that's out there, that's public, and then you just reject it. Wouldn't you have to have a reason?
Yes.
Okay. Next
Comment.
question, Mr. Head.
Then
Hold on just a second.
if we're gonna accept the high bid, then why do we even discuss it?
Well, the board needs to approve the sale of the properties.
But
And the research has been done by staff and it's being presented to the board.
We have to approve it.
But you're saying if we can't reject a bid, then we're wasting our time.
Well, you're not wasting your time, we're just moving things forward. It's all perspective.
It's kind of like we have to vote on the electric rates.
But one thing about it is, and it's not necessarily, I think there's wording in the policy that it doesn't have to be the highest, which I know you were trying to go for the highest and get everything higher. It doesn't have to be necessarily the highest, it's the best use of the lot. And so when they make these offers, they have to state what they plan to put there. So whether it's housing, the one tonight, I think, is a different type of situation, but whatever is what I would classify as the highest and best use for that lot. And sometimes that may not be the highest offer, but still, as far as rejecting, I don't know, maybe the city attorney could come up with a reason how you could reject a policy once it's out there, but
Okay.
I'm not clear.
Mr. Hubbard?
We hashed it out and hashed it out to be expeditious as possible to get rid of these properties and put them back on the tax roll. There was a protocol that we all agreed on. And I agree, we can't go back on that. We got movement, so let's stay with it. Because we want to get rid of all of this property and we want to put it back on the tax roll.
Thank you. Mr. Gregg?
If the board votes not to accept these, where do we stand then? What happens to these properties?
We would maintain ownership of those properties, and there is a possibility the board could be sued for specific performance.
Okay. Other questions, Mr. Gregg?
Harris?
Hold on.
Explain that
I'll go to Mr. Harris.
last performance.
Specific performance?
Yes.
Real estate is treated in the law as true and unique and one of a kind. So in the state of Tennessee, generally a buyer is not forced to purchase property that they do not want. However, a seller can be forced to sell property even if they change their mind or don't want to perform on a contract, because property is deemed to be unique. No two pieces are exactly alike.
Okay. Other questions? Mr. Harris? Mr. Gregg, are you finished?
I'm finished.
Okay. Mr. Harris?
My question would be to the aldermen that feel that rejecting it, what your reasoning is behind that for the city as far as us, if we reject one of these offers, these people have gone through the process that we have set forward. If we reject the offer, then the city continues to have this piece of property that continues to have to be taken care of. It has to be mowed, which is going to be more money to pile up against that piece of property. If it's been made public knowledge and everyone's had the same opportunity to come forward and bid on it, then why do we want to remain in that real estate business to hold this piece of property because we think it's not bringing enough? I'm maybe missing something of what your thought process is behind this would be my
Okay.
question, if that made
Mr.
sense
Head?
what I said.
Do you want to answer that, or?
You know, I may be thinking of it too much like a business, but, you know, if I had a piece of property and I was selling it and I couldn't get an offer that I thought was sufficient for value, then I'd keep holding it for some period of time. Then I'd put it back.
But it's all, and no disrespect to you, but that would be a piece of property that you're probably taking care of and you're maintaining.
hopefully, yes.
Yes, sir. And that's why I'm saying these, unless we sell these pieces of property, we don't have to maintain it and continue to accumulate debt against them. So why would we want to remain in that, to continue debt to accumulate when we have an opportunity to sell it and everyone's had the same degree of fairness to come forward to buy this piece of property?
Okay.
We wouldn't. We'd want to get it moved as quick as possible.
I just want to make sure I'm clear in what everyone's thought process is, and if I'm missing something, I'd like that to be pointed out.
Any more discussion?
That was the protocol that we established, what he just said. And so I think we should just stick with
Okay.
it.
No more discussion?
You know, as we learn, we know more.
Well, and we can always adjust.
And
This information that Ryan put together, I would like to have this information on the properties in the future before we vote on it.
Okay.
And I'm not saying that I'm not in favor of doing something different. I just want to understand where everyone's coming from on this.
Okay. Mr. Sneed, did you have a question?
Never mind.
Okay. Other questions? All right. No more discussion. We'll move on to our consent doc.
Move for approval for the total consent.
Okay.
Second.
Thank you. All those in favor of the whole consent doc? Oh, sorry. I was going to move us right on. Call the roll, please.
Hubbard.
Aye.
Sneed.
Aye.
Harris.
Yes.
Trotter.
Aye.
Schneider.
Aye.
Head.
Yes.
Gregg. Pass 7-0.
Thank you. In the month of December, it's our job as we voted to evaluate our city attorney. We have not done this before, so I consulted with MTask. MTask explained to me that, in their opinion, I should ask the city manager to evaluate our bill, evaluate the department heads that use that. Y'all come back to us, the Board of Mayor and Aldermen, with your evaluation of the city attorney. And next month, the Board of Mayor and Aldermen will evaluate based on what Ms. Holt sent us in our packet.
We will receive that before.
We will receive that in our packet.
Okay.
Any questions?
Yes.
Ms. Holt?
So is this going to be, are you all going to discuss it on the regular meeting or a special meeting?
What would be the
They-
difference?
Well,
They
a
said-
regular meeting, normally you wouldn't do a performance evaluation at a meeting like this. You would do it for a special call meeting, one-on-one.
Executive session. This
No,
question.
no, excuse me. The
Mr. Sneed.
city attorney told us we couldn't do executive sessions when I thought that we could in the city manager's evaluations and interviews. And
Is
you
this-
just mentioned it in the executive session. What legal lawsuit are we in that we need an executive session?
I think it's a special call meeting, not an executive session.
A special call meeting. Okay. Gentlemen, what's your preference?
I would like to have a sit down around the round table and a discussion with her privately.
We can't do,
Well, it'd be advertised publicly.
we can't do
but
that.
It would be a special meeting.
Your preference, gentlemen?
Special.
Okay. Shall we pick that date for our special meeting?
But this question, the information that you're talking about would be compiled by staff. We would have that prior to this special meeting.
Yes. Our next meeting for January will be,
15.
okay. Do you want to have it after that or before?
Well, may I throw in something else?
Please.
What I was going to mention tonight is, of course, we do a strategic planning session. We did that last year, and I reached out to MTAS, and they have available January 31st, February 5th, and February 7th. for
Say
a-
those dates again, let me write them down.
January 31st, February 5th, and February 7th.
Can you tell me what days those are? I don't have my
Yeah.
phone.
Okay, our January 31st would be a Thursday. February 5th would be a Tuesday.
Thursday.
and a Thursday on February the 7th.
February 7th would work best for me. That's the planning commission meeting at 5. I could stay over from that meeting to the next.
On which date?
We normally start at 5.
A special meeting?
Are we doing the strategic?
Strategic planning.
Yeah.
Well, we
Oh, it's
could,
already scheduled on the 7th.
no, it's not. We could,
She's
we
asking.
could do it on at 6.
You're asking to make this review part of
Right.
that special.
Oh, no, I'm just throwing that out there,
No.
that you.
We
that
need to make both
We need
dates.
to do that, and then you
But
would.
is that 2 separate meetings? Okay.
The planning commission is on the 7th at 5. If it's after that or before that, we,
Okay, now remember, our strategic planning meeting is a long meeting. I think we started at 5 and went to 8.
I think we allowed till 8. I don't, maybe till
Well,
7:30, but
When you
yeah.
want to get answers, yeah.
Is that the one we did at the library?
Yes. And I assume we'll go back to the library for that.
We'll check to see if it's available.
Okay, so let's talk about just the strategic planning meeting. And then we'll go back and make a date for the special meeting.
I'm good with most any day except a Monday.
Okay? Any preference for the strategic planning? Is the 7th good? But we need to start at 5. Mr. Sneed, can you come on the 31st if we did it then?
well, I mean, since I work out in and out of state, I mean, I'm trying to be here a day. I know I'm gonna be here for something else.
Okay.
How long does the planning commission meeting normally last?
I know.
Depends on what's on the agenda. Sometimes it could be 30 minutes probably, and sometimes an hour or longer.
January heavy.
It just depends on the.
It's too early to tell.
Sometimes they want to talk and sometimes they don't.
Kind of like the move to the Board of Mayor and Aldermen.
Okay? Is everyone good with the 7th? And we start at,
For the strategic planning.
6 o'clock on the 7th.
6 to 9?
We could say 6 to 9.
You can't do 5, so it'd have
Right,
to be 6.
6.
I'm good.
Everybody good with that?
Yeah.
February 7th, Thursday night, 6 to 9. Stay tuned to where it's going to be located, hopefully at the Stokes Brown Library. Now let's go back and plan our special meeting for the evaluation. The 7th. Do I hear a preference? Okay, so if we're going to meet on the 15th, could we come back and meet the 22nd? I mean, I'm just pulling dates.
January,
Yes,
is that a Thursday?
it's a Tuesday.
Tuesday, 22nd.
What time do you want to do it? Is that date available for a majority? Are you available? Are you available?
I'm not available on the 22nd.
Okay.
Oh, you don't need to be present.
What about the 21st?
That's him.
That's a holiday. Moving right along, we can't do that. How about
31st.
the 31st?
Or, Mayor,
Yes, sir.
when we evaluated the city manager, they're not present, so does the city attorney need to be present when we do the evaluation?
It's an open meeting, I assume. I assume. Somebody correct me if I'm wrong.
I think so.
Okay, 31st. If that date is good, tell me a time, gentlemen. Do you want to do that at 5?
What day?
31st?
For the evaluation?
At 5 o'clock?
In January.
Yes. If it snows, I'm sorry, I'm not driving. We'll have to reschedule.
Cab will come with you.
Pardon?
Pick me up, please.
Thank
In a
you.
place to get you.
Not now.
That'll work.
5 o'clock.
Is that good with the majority?
Is that
Would
what
it be
you
in
said?
this
5?
boardroom?
I think
Yes.
that's what she said.
5 o'clock, is that good?
That's good.
Okay.
On the 31st at 5 and on the 7th of February at 6.
6 to 9. The 31st meeting will be in this room. The 7th meeting is to be announced. Okay. We're moving on to our city manager, Ms. Gina Holt's report.
Well, it's very brief tonight. I did want to recognize the Springfield Yellow Jackets City Football League. We had 2 age groups that made it to the 2018 Super Bowl. I'm not sure what those initials did. The what?
TJFL, Middle Tennessee Junior Football.
Okay, the Middle Tennessee Junior Football League Super Bowl, but they won the Super Bowl. So this is ages 5, 6, and 7, and ages 10 and 11. So, I mean, that's awesome. So we need to give a round of applause. And hopefully they'll just keep growing up and keep doing well, and that's great. And let's see, don't forget the last weekend, I think on Saturday, as in the words of Terry Martin, we had smashing success at Winter Wonderland. Over 1,500 cups of chocolate, hot chocolate were given out, so that's pretty good. So you know there were a lot more than that. And so this weekend, Friday and Saturday, same thing. Don't forget, 5:30 till 9. And that's Merry Christmas to everyone, and thank you.
Please come out to our park and see all the great lights that Mr. Martin's department and all the other departments sitting here that have participated. It's just absolutely wonderful for everybody to be able to join here in Robertson County and Springfield. I want to wish you all a Merry Christmas, Mr. Sneed.
Yes, we have in our presence the Honorable Dr. Kumar, our state representative. I'd like to see if he has anything to report or to inform the public at the podium.
Dr. Kumar, I want to say to you how much we appreciate you and how much we appreciate you going down and fighting on the Hill for us here in Springfield and Robertson County. You do such an amazing job, and you're so great for our city and county, so we really appreciate you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Alderman Sneed, for pointing out that he was in the room.
I'd like to see if he has anything to speak to the board briefly about, if you could.
Dr. Kumar?
Well, thank you. It's an honor to represent the community and...
Go to the podium, Mr. Kumar.
Thank you for getting 431 finished. We are all so glad to see the cones down.
Well, we are midway there. There is a lot longer to go yet to the I-24. Madam Mayor, Aldermen, city officials, and the community people, it's great to see everybody. It's great to see the wheels of government grinding at the local level. Certainly, it's warm in the room. I figure it must be the love. It is also good to see that this body is supportive of the Bransford project. I think we need to do things for our youth that will put them on the right path, give them a place that will be constructive, and it will very much depend on how we plan this project and what we do with it. But I think there are people who are genuinely committed to it, have the best interests of the city and the community at heart, and I think we are supportive of them, and this body is too, and that's good to see. As far as the state level is concerned, it's a major turnover. We will be starting with the 111th Legislative Assembly in January. We will swear in 1/3 of the members, almost 30 members are new to the legislature and the new governor, and a new set of commissioners and the cabinet. I think there's a lot of opportunity to change directions, bring new thought in, and get things done. I'm very, very hopeful of it. Major things are going to be certainly education, criminal justice reform, as well as our difficult problem of the opioid crisis. Please pray for our state. Pray that these people bring wisdom to the Hill and we are able to solve some problems. And we wish you a very special Christmas. Thank you.
Dr. Kumar.
Sir, if you would please, there are two pressing things that Robertson County need. Criminal justice reform. Our boys going to prison for petty crimes. And number two, please remind this governor and this new legislature that we need to focus on education. We're still 48th in the country, and pay our teachers.
Okay.
Please, sir.
Thank you, Dr. Kumar, for what you do for our county and our city.
Well, thank you, I appreciate it. Just to answer you, the three matters of focus for the new governor that I mentioned, you mentioned those two, and he's very committed to that. Governor-elect Bill Lee, he worked with one of the people that were incarcerated and helped visiting them on a regular basis once a week for almost 5 years, turned that young man's life around. So he has contributed and has seen it on a personal level what that can do, and he's very committed to it. Definitely education is what builds lives, and we are very, very committed to that, no doubt about it. Yes, our teachers do need to get paid more, definitely. One correction, we are no longer number 48 among the states. We have moved up to 34 and holding steady, not 2 years in a row. So yet, 34 is still below the average, and we want to move on up. And I think working together with our good teachers, we can accomplish that. We are committed to that. Thank you.
Okay?
Thank you.
Our meeting is adjourned.
I'm not gonna buy that political rhetoric.